Good morning. Today is March 16th, 2024. And we have a commentary. 3 burials. Having led the Israelites into Canaan, and having completed the general conquest and partition of the promised land, Joshua now faces the end of his life. He is called to be with his fathers, knowing that over the years he has proved himself to be a man of great faith and courage. And with Joshua goes the high priest Eleazar, who has served the people's spiritual needs throughout the conquest. With the passing of these 2 men of God, the last immediate links with Moses and Aaron will be severed, and a new era will soon find the Israelites in spiritual eclipse. Never again will the Israelites as a nation be this closely united, either among themselves or with their God. About the same time as Joshua's and Eleazar's deaths, the people also bury the 400-year-old bones of Joseph, which were brought out of Egypt during the Exodus, in keeping with Joseph's deathbed request. It is an appropriate tie with the early patriarchs to whom God first promised this land. Okay, looks like we're jumping around a little bit between Judges and Joshua. Judges 2, 8 and 9, and then Joshua 24, verse 29. Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110, and they buried him in the land of his inheritance at Timnath-Heres, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. And Eleazar, son of Aaron, died and was buried at Gibeah, which had been allotted to his son Phinehas in the hill country of Ephraim. And this is around 1390 BC, question mark. And Joseph's bones, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem, in the tract of land that Jacob bought for 100 pieces of silver from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem. This became the inheritance of Joseph's descendants. Little commentary, additional conquests. The fact that territory had been given to a tribe or individual does not mean that the land can be immediately occupied. The inhabitants living in the land must first be driven out. While some of the territorial conquests occur when Joshua was still living, the following additional conquests are made after Joshua's death. Judges 1, verse 1. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites asked the Lord, "Who will be the first to go up and fight for us against the Canaanites?" The Lord answered, "Judah is to go. I have given the land into their hands." Then the men of Judah said to the Simeonites, their brothers, "Come up with us into the territory allotted to us, to fight against the Canaanites. We in turn will go with you into yours." So the Simeonites went with them. When Judah attacked, the Lord gave the Canaanites and Perizzites into their hands, and they struck down 10,000 men at Bezek. It was there that they found Adoni-Bezek and fought against him, putting to rout the Canaanites and Perizzites. Adoni-Bezek fled, but they chased him and caught him, and cut off his thumbs and big toes. That's cruel. Then Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings with their thumbs and big toes cut off have picked up scraps under my table. Now God has paid me back for what I did to them. They brought him to Jerusalem, and he died there. The men of Judah attacked Jerusalem also and took it. They put the city to the sword and set it on fire. After that, the men of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites living in the hill country, the Negev, and the western foothills. They advanced against the Canaanites living in Hebron, formerly called Kiriath Arba, and defeated Sheshai, Ahaman, and Talmai. The descendants of Moses' father-in-law, the Kenite, went up from the city of Palms with the men of Judah to live among the people of the desert of Judah in the Negev near Arad. Then the men of Judah went with the Simeonites, their brothers, and attacked the Canaanites living in Zephath, and they totally destroyed the city. Therefore it was called Hormah. The men of Judah also took Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron, each city with its territory. The Lord was with the men of Judah. They took possession of the hill country, but they were unable to drive the people from the plains because they had iron chariots. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion in Judah, Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron. Arba was the forefather of Anak. From Hebron, Caleb drove out the 3 Anakites, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, descendants of Anak. From there they advanced against the people living in Debir, formerly called Kiriath Sepher. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksa in marriage to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sepher. Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it. So Caleb gave his daughter to Aksa and to him in marriage. Caleb gave his daughter Aksa to him in marriage. One day when she came to Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What can I do for you? She replied, Do me a special favor, since you have given me land in the Negev. Give me also springs of water. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. Now the house of Joseph attacked Bethel, and the Lord was with them. When they sent men to spy out Bethel, formerly called Luz, the spies saw a man coming out of the city, and they said to him, Show us how to get into the city, and we will see that you are treated well. So he showed them, and they put the city to the sword, but spared the man and his whole family. He then went to the land of the Hittites, where he built a city, and called it Luz, which is its name to this day. Another commentary, failure to complete conquest. Despite all the conquests which have been made, there are still sections of unclaimed territory and, more importantly, still inhabitants who have not been driven out, contrary to God's specific orders. The danger of an incomplete conquest is the lingering presence of pagan influence. As long as the Canaanites remain, the Israelites will inevitably intermarry with them, and just as inevitably turn to worship their pagan gods. Failure to drive out the inhabitants may indicate not only the softness of Israel's resolve, but also a certain fascination with the pagan culture about them. Whatever their reasons for their failure, God considers it a breach of covenant and knows that widespread idolatry is soon to follow. A number of lands and peoples are never conquered. Interestingly enough, neither Judah nor Benjamin is able to completely drive out the Jebusites from the city of Jerusalem, which is within the region of their common boundary, even despite the fact that Judah has already attacked the city once and put it to the torch. Joshua 13, verse 13. But the Israelites did not drive out the people of Geshur and Makkah, so they continued to live among the Israelites to this day. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Beth Shan, Ibleam, and the people of Dor, Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements. The third in the list is Naphoth. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. Judah could not dislodge the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. To this day, the Jebusites live there with the people of Judah. The Benjaminites, however, failed to dislodge the Jebusites who were living in Jerusalem. To this day the Jebusites live there with the Benjaminites. Neither did Zebulun drive out the Canaanites living in Kitron or Nahalal, who remained among them, but they did subject them to forced labor. Nor did Asher drive out those living in Akko or Sidon or Alab or Akzib or Helba or Aphek or Rehob. And because of this, the people of Asher lived among the Canaanite inhabitants of the land. Neither did Naphtali drive out those living in Beth Shemesh or Beth Anath, but the Naphtalites too lived among the Canaanite inhabitants of the land, and those living in Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath became forced laborers for them. The Amorites confined the Danites to the hill country, not allowing them to come down into the plain. And the Amorites were determined also to hold out in Mount Heres, Aijalon, and Shaalbim. But when the power of the house of Joseph increased, they too were pressed into forced labor. The boundary of the Amorites was from Scorpion Pass to Selah and beyond. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I brought you up out of Egypt and led you into the land that I swore to give to your forefathers. I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and you shall not make a covenant with the people of this land, but you shall break down their altars. Yet you have disobeyed me. Why have you done this? Now therefore I tell you that I will not drive them out before you. They will be thorns in your sides, and their gods will be a snare to you. When the angel of the Lord had spoken these things to all the Israelites, the people wept aloud, and they called that place Bochim. They offered sacrifices to the Lord. That's it for today, the short reading. Have a great day. Love you guys.